Hey everyone, Frank here. Going fishing this weekend at the Keys, Islamorada, one of the bridges, and I've got a lot of old bait fish left over from past cast netting and buying at Walmart, and so I'm going to be utilizing fresh live shrimp, fresh ballyhoo, and crabs. So I've been watching some videos. Everybody's using Chum, so I figured save a couple bucks. I'm gonna make my own Chum utilizing all the old bait fish that I have sitting in my freezer. So let's get started. Let's see what I've got to work with. Okay, so this is where I'm going to be cutting up the fish. I've been watching some videos and people have these old meat grinders and blenders from their wife's kitchens, which my wife is never gonna allow me to use her blender. So I've got to kind of do it a little old school. And this also is an impromptu thing. So I'm gonna utilize just a cutting knife and a fish grater that I got at the dollar store for $1. Gonna be a little makeshift, a little last minute, but all right, let's see what I've got to work with here. Some of the old fish that I caught with my cast net, some stuff that I bought from Walmart, shrimp, some other fish that I caught with my bait net. And these are the things that, from watching other videos, I'll be adding. Oats. Now, you might be asking yourself, why oats? I was too. I guess it binds all the fish guts and everything together, so you have a nice big block. And since I don't have a lot of bait to utilize, I've seen in some other videos people utilizing this Jack Mac. It's mackerel in salt water. So the salt water is going to help, as well as the Jack Mac itself, just to give me some more substance in my Chum, since I don't have as much fish as I would like to use. So I'm going to pause the video now while I cut up all the fish, and then I'll come back and start mixing everything together. Okay, so after the first fish, this doesn't work very well. The skin is too hard, it's just useless. Am I still gonna go use the wife's blender? No. Do I have a meat grinder? No. I know Walmart does have cheap blenders. They start at like $16. At this point, I'm not gonna do it for this trip. So what I've had to resort to is actually just cutting it up with my knife, just cutting it up into fine little pieces. Now, I'm gonna have to cut it up a little bit more just because the mesh bag, I think the hole's a little small, so I'll have to make sure that I don't want it to stay in the mesh bag, in the Chum bag. I want it to go through, so I'm gonna have to cut them up a little bit more. So it is gonna be a time-consuming little project of mine, but hey, I'm utilizing what I have, and it'll work. It's not like all this dead fish, little pieces in the water where the fish are is not gonna attract the fish. It's just gonna be a lot more time consuming than what I thought. So I'll come back once all the fish have been cut up. Okay, so I've got everything cut up. All the mullet, all the little bait fish, all the shrimp. I don't know if you can see. Look at all that. Now what I did, because I was not grinding it up, is the tails and the heads I kind of put in here. What I'm going to do with this is I'll just, as a backup, once this other Chum block dissolves and is gone, I'll throw that kind of sparingly as if I was on the back of a boat and see if that works. It's going to work. You're throwing fish, cut up fish, and all the little bait fish are going to come, which are going to bring all the big game fish. So, but I'm not putting this in the bucket because the pieces are too big, and I wasn't going to spend even more time cutting up the heads and the tails even smaller. So I'm going to leave those separate. Okay, so I've got all this. Now the Jack Mac. Again, it's in salt water. That's going to help. It's cooked, so it's going to just add some substance. It's probably not the best thing to add, but again, I didn't have quite as much as I would have normally have liked to have had, so I'm just using it because I saw somebody else do it, and I'm going to see how it works. Okay, so I'm just pouring this in. And look, it's kind of like half cooked, I guess. Almost like tuna fish, but kind of nasty. Guts and seawater. Okay, that's one. Second can of Jack Mac. And actually, I thought it was cooked. It's actually kind of half cooked. So, it does got some bones in there. The can says be careful of bones, and look at that. Look at that bone that's in there. The whole spine. Look at that. I just pulled out the entire spine of that mackerel in there. So, be careful if you're getting that to actually consume yourselves. Okay, one of the ingredients that you're supposed to put in that I forgot to show earlier is some type of oil. Now, the best thing to do would be Menhedrin oil that you can get at like your Bass Pro Shops or Dick's Sporting Goods. Amazon can do it, but a little side note with the ones that you get from Amazon, I heard the quart containers, they don't package it very well, so just be careful if you're ordering it from Amazon because of the packaging. It could come damaged. But the oil, what you want is to kind of, after you freeze it and it starts to thaw out, you got the little oil slick. So all the stuff's going to be kind of sitting at the top of the water, a couple feet below the water, so that you can have the fish, the little bait fish coming up and around. Okay, so I'm just going to pour the oil in. Okay. And now, again, I don't have the best little sludge that I would have liked because they're cut up, but I'm still going to put in some of the oats to kind of bind up some of the stuff. And again, you could be throwing out Wonder Bread and the little bait fish are going to come. So just adding some of the oats. I'm not going to add as much as I would have added if I did have that more pasty stuff. Okay, then I'm just going to mix it all up. And I'm going to try and get it as much of a paste as you can. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in little containers and freeze it. Now, so I've spent a lot of time doing this. Obviously, I wouldn't have had to spend as much time if I used the blender or had that meat grinder, but you got to deal with what you have and work with what you have. So I got this, and it's gonna work. I will get fish to come to where I'm placing this, but I did spend a lot of time. I didn't spend a lot of money, but I did spend a lot of time. And so, look at all that. So, if I was to buy a 5-pound block from a bait store, and I'm not even talking a bait store in the Keys, which is where I'm going, the Florida Keys. I'm talking about your normal local bait shop. A 5-pound block of Chum was $9. So, did I spend $9 on this? No, I spent $4, excuse me. Spent $4, and I probably have a little bit more than 5 pounds. But I also, the reason I did it was because I had that bait fish that was just sitting in my freezer, excuse me, just doing nothing. It was from other fish that I had caught and bait fish and other fishing trips, and I just never used it. So this little project is basically because I wanted to get that stuff out of my freezer and put some stuff in the freezer, like some game fish, like some snapper and some yellow jacks that I can eat, versus this stuff that was just nasty, smelling up the fridge that I wouldn't be eating and probably not going to be utilizing anymore anyway. So I'm going to pause this now, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start putting it in the containers that I'm going to put in the freezer. Okay? I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I've got the mixture. You can see that. Oh, it almost looks like a dark colored tuna fish. Stinks. To quote my daughter, she's like, "Dad, you stink," just like that. And I'm outside, as you can see, because the wife would shoot me if I was doing this on inside the house. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna put it in stuff that I can put into the freezer until the trip on tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow. Today's Saturday. We'll go on tomorrow. So I'm gonna put in these little cold cut things that you get at Publix, your supermarket or Walmart. They're small, so I'm gonna have to put them in a couple. Actually, I see a lot of people that on the videos they put them in the oats container and just put the oats container in there and then just cut it up when they're ready to fish with it. So I'm just gonna put it in, kind of pack it in. Just pack it in there, and then that's gonna freeze all nice. And then I'm just gonna put it in the chum bag and just put it down in the water. And where I'm going under the bridge, there'll be a current. So the current will push it out, which will be nice. Again, the bags of heads and tails, I still broke up some of the heads a little bit, but I'll float that at the end when all of this good stuff is gone to kind of see if how that stuff works. But for now, I'm just gonna end the video and I'm just gonna put all the rest of the stuff in here and just put it in the freezer. Happy fishing, everybody. I'll comment on the video about how it worked, all right? Okay, so I just wanted to add to the video about that bucket yielded this much chum. So I'm gonna look how nice it is in these Tupperware types of containers that I'll be able to put into the freezer. Wife will never know what it is if I don't mark it chum. So it's nice. It's not going to be messy. I've seen some videos where people are actually putting their containers, because they're putting it in like Cheez-It boxes, and they're putting those boxes into plastic bags to keep it from spilling all those juices and nastiness into your freezer. This is nice and convenient. And obviously, this smaller. These are little 1 pound containers. So I yielded about 3 pounds, give or take. I did kind of pack it in there tightly. So maybe 3+ pounds of some good chum that I'll be able to utilize. All right, happy fishing, everybody. Have a good day.